Chapter 14. Yes, the woman wiped her hands on a dish towel and peered at Elder Master Barakiel. Her eyes swept past him to include me before looking at him again. I glanced around for Malik, but he had disappeared from sight. Hi, I'm Mr. Glover from CPS. Barakiel held his hand out and she reached out and shook it. She shook his hand as if he were as corporeal as she was. Oh, hi, I'm Christine Maddock. I've been expecting you. She turned her face toward me, the corners of her eyes twinkling as she looked at me. You must be Jessica. I had an Earth name. I hadn't expected that. Yes, I said between dry lips. Her eyes did a quick scan from my head to my toes and then around my feet. Come on in, let's get you settled, she said, extending her arm again and roping it around my shoulders. I jerked away before I could stop myself, and she flinched, pulling her hands back to herself. Sorry, I said, my face warming. No, I'm sorry, sweetie. Personal space, I know better. She led the way into a room with large barred windows just off the entryway. Plants dangled from chains in the ceiling, and cats jumped from the fluffy couch that wrapped around the room. Books cluttered a low, round table in the middle of the room. I moved my shoulders up and down, trying to detect a residual effect from her touch, but there was none. I hadn't felt it. This is the sitting room, Christine said, gesturing to the couch. Do you mind if we sit and chat for just a moment? Then I'll show you your room. I have a short amount of time, but that would be fine, Barakiel said. He seated himself in one of the chairs. Do you have any questions? No, I don't think so. I'm not new to fostering. I'll take Jessica this afternoon to get her enrolled in school. And then? She glanced at me again. It looks like you have no belongings? I looked at Barakiel and he answered for me. That's right. Jessica has nothing. We used your direct deposit information to add a shopping stipend to the monthly allotment, so it should cover you taking her to get new clothes and school supplies. Oh, you didn't need to do that. Christine's cheeks flushed red and her aura flashed green and pink. It's my pleasure to help out, she looked at me, lowering her head and leveling me with her eyes. Do you have any questions for me, Jessica? You seem very nice, I said, trying to understand the colors. Kindness radiated from her, and more emotions, at least two at once. Generosity and sincerity, and another that I couldn't identify. I turned to Barakiel, already overwhelmed. How could she feel so many things at one time? I'll be on my way then. If you have any concerns, please call me. Barakiel removed a small rectangular paper from his shirt pocket and handed it to Christine. That goes for you as well, Jessica. We're here to advocate for you in any situation. Remember, you're not alone. I nodded, picking up on the double meaning behind his words. Thank you. He offered his hand, and I stared at it for what felt like a long moment. Then I slowly reached out. His fingers closed around my palm, and I snatched my hand back in surprise. I'd felt something, if not his flesh on mine, then the strength of his grip. What I had not felt was pain. I blinked up at him, but he only smiled, giving no indication of anything unusual. Christine held the door open for him as he walked down the steps, then she closed it. Exhaling, she turned to face me, pushing a smile on her face again. Do you go by Jessica? I nodded. Or Jess, either is fine. You can call me Christine, or Mrs. Maddock, or whatever you'd like. Christy, Mom. Not that you have to, but if you want, I don't mind. Her cheeks raged pink again, and all I could do was stare at her as she rambled, a myriad of colors dancing off her. Okay, I said. My husband is mad. He'll be home tonight. He can't wait to meet you. Okay, I said again, feeling utterly foolish. I could communicate with my peers at the academy, so why did it feel like Christine was speaking to me in a foreign language? I understood her words, but they felt out of context. I didn't have a clue what to say in response. But come on, I'll show you your room. It's upstairs. We climbed a twisty, narrow staircase to the next level of the house. Paintings and black and white photos of buildings, parks, and cemeteries adorned the walls, and I stopped to gape at them. She paused at a room, and I halted behind her. Go ahead, go in, she said, gesturing me forward. I did so. The small room was circular in shape, with large white curtains bordering the single window, also with bars on it. A twin bed much like mine at the academy leaned against one wall, and wedged beside it was a big brown bag, large enough for two people to sit on. A small bookshelf with a desk attached rested near an open closet, and there wasn't room for anything else in the small space. Is it all right? She asked. It's great, I said, and a lump rose in my throat. My own room. My earth house. I wanted to throw my arms around the brown bag and sing. She smiled, her aura flashing a mixture of orange and yellow and blue. I was unprepared. I wished I had paid more attention to Master Cassiel's class on aura interpretation. Some of her emotions spilled over to me, igniting me with a sense of joy and anticipation. Great, you want to rest for a little bit before we go to the high school? Maybe just a moment, I said, hoping I used the right tonal inflection to indicate a request. I want to see the room more. Of course. Come downstairs when you're ready. After we get you enrolled, I'll take you shopping and we can fill up that closet of yours. She beamed at me with such pleasure that it wicked through me like a hot drink. I returned her smile and nodded. She left me alone, her footsteps carrying down the stairs. I spun in a circle, drinking in the details of my room, from the gauzy curtain to the tiny cherry prints on the walls. I moved over to the brown bag and collapsed upon it, squealing when it swallowed me up. Jazz? I gave a startled gasp and shot to my feet when Malik appeared in front of me. Malik! My mind raced. In the few moments I'd been in this house with Christine, I had forgotten Malik would be a part of my mortal experience. How did you get in here? Did Christine see you? He shook his head. I flew in through the window. I'm not bound by mortal physics. I can still go through walls and windows when necessary. But you can also choose not to. Comes with being a heavenly being. I can choose when to be seen and I can choose when to be corporeal. Just touched me, I blurted. He can also hear you, so don't speak so loud. I lowered my voice. Barakiel shook my hand. I felt it. Malik's brow furrowed as he internalized that information. His eyes darted toward my hand, and I sensed him wanting to try, wanting to see if he could. But he didn't. I'll be with Logan, he said. We're headed to the skate park. But I'll come check on you later. Why didn't he try to take my hand? Was it for fear that it wouldn't work or fear that it would? Okay, I said. Was he worried about the darkness of my soul, that I might damage him again? I didn't care about the pain, I would risk it, but I didn't want to hurt Malik, not here on Earth when we were so far from Arcadian healers. What if I need you? How do I contact you? I looked at his bag slung over his shoulder and knew his agenda was there, but I didn't have one. I'll come for you if you need me. How will you know? He chuckled. I'll know. I wanted more of an answer than that, but I had other questions also. And how do we get back to Arcadia? I can message Elder Master Barakiel. He'll get us back if we need it. He glanced over his shoulder toward the stairs and looked back at me. She seems like a nice lady. I'll be back tonight, I promise. He held his hand close to my face, so near I felt the warmth of his thumb as he brushed it over my cheek, millimeters away from touching me. Be careful. I exhaled and nodded. He gave me a wan smile and went to the window. When I blinked, he was gone. Time to go to high school. You've picked a good time to join us, Miss Wilburn. The man with graying hair and fine lines around his eyes offered a smile as he moved behind the desk in the small office. My eyes darted around, taking in the glass of water by the computer, the small window behind him, the metal filing cabinet, and the paper calendar taped to the closet door. Thank you, I said. I am Dr. Gary Stone. He held his hand out to me, much as Barakiel had done. I hesitated a moment before shaking it. Unlike with Barakiel, I felt nothing when his hand clasped mine. It was like closing around solid air. Well, we're glad to have you here at De La Salle High School. Mrs. Maddock is always helpful when we need volunteers or extra fundraising, and we're happy to help out when she has a student for us. I watched him as he fired up the computer. The small box reflected in his eyes, showing columns and rows of words. Let's see where we've got room. Do you know what classes you'd like to take? I shook my head. He looked at Christine. You said you brought her old transcript? She was homeschooled. Christine handed him a manila file, or at least that was what her mother said. I raised an eyebrow. I was supposed to have a mother? Should I know something about her? Barakiel hadn't warned me. I kept quiet, hoping I wouldn't have to make up a story on the fly. Good, here's her birth certificate. And education level ... His voice trailed off. Whatever Barakiel had put on the paper, it had to be better than reality. None. 0. Education. While we have some entry-level classes available, She might be the oldest one in there, but that's okay. He clicked a few buttons on the computer. How about geography, geometry, literature, and physical education? Does she like athletics? Jessica, Christine asked me, I shook my head. I don't know. I've never done anything before. Let's give it a try. We might miss a lot of school, Christine said, her tone apologetic. CPS is working on a reunification with her mother in Baton Rouge. She might be gone for days at a time. That's all right, we'll work with her. Dr. Stone offered me a smile. That's it. We're set. Bring her back tomorrow morning and she can start class. I'm taking her to the store tonight, Christine said. Do you have a list of class requirements? I'm sure I can find one. He opened a drawer and ducked his head, fishing around in a pile of papers in his desk. The water in his glass flickered. I blinked and took a step closer. Had I imagined that? He was rummaging through a drawer, after all. It made sense that it would jostle items on his desk. The water leapt from his glass, splashing over his desk. "Hold a," he exclaimed, jerking his head up. I took several steps back, startled. My heart hammered in the base of my neck. You all right, honey? Christine asked me, concern on her face. I nodded. Must have been some crazy vibrations from the drawer, Dr. Stone grumbled. Anyway, here's a school list. She won't need all those things, but it gives you a basic idea. Thank you, I sure appreciate this, Christine said, sliding the sheet of paper into the file folder. Let's head out, Jessica. I followed, shooting one last glance at the glass of water as we left the office. The water lay there, still and inert, just as water should. But I'd seen it jump. Is Target all right? Christine asked me. She parked the vehicle in a stall facing a large, squat building with a red and white circle in front. Red balls punctuated the parking area, indicating the direction cars should go. I'd never ridden as a passenger before, seatbelt on, a welcome guest in a car. Anywhere's fine, I said. Then come on, let's get your school supplies and some clothes. Christine showed me how to get a cart, and I trailed behind her, nodding in agreement to everything she held up. I hadn't expected to feel so overwhelmed by the new sights and sounds around me. Christine approached a rack of clothes and held up a light blue shirt. What do you think? Too bright? It looks fine to me, I said. She laughed and put the shirt in the cart. You're so agreeable. No one's ever asked me what I wanted to wear before. She paused and looked at me, and I realized I'd said one of those weird things. I didn't know how to take it back or make it mean something else, so I turned to the rack of clothing and fingered the fabric. I'd never felt a lack for things to wear. Not in Sheol, where I wore the same outfit every day, and not in Arcadia, where clothes appeared in my closet before I knew I needed them. The variety here astonished me. Like these shorts, it will be getting warm soon. I shook my head, it doesn't matter. Another foster child, Christina. I felt Christine's emotional response before her aura flared up with a spiral of blue and yellowish green, annoyance, displeasure, unhappiness. Her shoulders stiffened and we both turned to the voice. Oh, hi, Adeline, Christine said, the smile on her face forced and fake, her tone flat. How fun to run into you here. Adeline had thick black hair curled tightly around her head and high cheekbones which accentuated her smoldering dark eyes. You and Matt must be short on cash again, she said, her voice nasty. I narrowed my eyes, examining the black and green colors radiating from her aura. I had no words for the emotions, but she emanated darkness and negativity. Christine turned to me. Jessica, this is Adeline. She lives in the house across the street from us. You'll probably see lots of her. I bobbed my head. Hi. Or was I supposed to offer my hand? I belatedly did so, jerking it out at a right angle. Adeline arched an eyebrow and stared at it, then at me. You have some guts, Christine. One of these days, one of these foster kids is going to hack you to pieces in your sleep. With that, Adeline pushed her cart away and Christine exhaled, closing her eyes as her shoulders relaxed. Oh, that woman is a nasty piece of work, Christine whispered. You keep your distance from her, okay, Jessica? I blinked after her. What was she feeling? Who knows? I rolled my hand, but it was so dark, so spiteful, malicious. Well, Christine touched my arm, hesitant. But when I didn't pull away, she grasped me and pulled me closer. Though I could not feel her hand touching me, Her aura mingled with mine, connecting with my spirit, much the way Malik's did whenever we almost touched. "So here's the deal," Christine whispered. "Adeline used to date Matt's younger brother, and then Matt's brother ran off with Adeline's younger sister. After that, Adeline became hateful and mean toward anything that had to do with Matt's brother, including Matt and me after we got married. It's just spiraled since then to the point that I don't think Adeline remembers why she hates us. She just does what she does, doesn't she? Does she?" I listened to the story, enraptured, trying to pinpoint where the descent into darkness might have begun. I had some insight into the motives of Temptari. Had they been after Matt's brother and Adeline was a casualty? Or was the entire intent to take down Adeline and Matt's brother was the way to get to her? Not that it mattered in the end. I was certain the Temptari had fed off the negative energies of both humans for a long time. We're still feeding off Adeline if her attitude was any indicator. Christine and I shopped at the Target for another half hour before returning to her house. A small blue car was parked out front, and Christine's eyes lit up. "We're at Matt's home. Come on, he's anxious to meet you." She pulled open the gate to the house and hurried to the front door, carrying most of my bags of new things on her arms. Belatedly, I realized I should be helping her. "I can carry a few things," I said, stepping forward as she unlocked the door. "Oh, I've got it." She had the door open before I got there, and I followed her inside, ashamed I hadn't thought to help her sooner. This wasn't in my nature. "Matt," she called out, "we're home." Something smelled wonderful in the kitchen adjacent to the sitting room. Christine moved that direction, and I trailed behind. "Hi, dear." Matt turned from the frying pan where bacon sizzled. He looked several years older than Christine, with graying hair around his temples and a bit of white in his trimmed beard. He gave her a hug and then saluted me over her shoulder. "You must be Jessica." "Yes." I remained where I was, unsure of proper etiquette. Shake his hand? Hug him? "Come on and sit down, dinner's ready." Matt turned off another pot and carried it to the table. "What's for dinner?" Christine asked. "Bacon and grits." I wasn't sure how Jessica here would feel about shrimp, but I figured everyone loves bacon, so here we are. "Do you like shrimp, Jessica?" Christine asked, placing a plate and a fork in front of me. "Yes," I said. Not that I had any clue, but if humans ate it, I wanted to also. Matt scooped a yellowish grain onto our plates and placed the bacon in the middle of the table. And no grits meal would be complete without beans. He took the lid from another pot, displaying small red balls. "Beans, Jessica?" "Yes." "I'll say grace." Christine folded her hands and bowed her head, then launched into prayer. "Our Father in heaven, bless this food we eat and the hallowed hands that prepared it. Bless this home and those that dwell in it, and especially bless Jessica, that she'll feel safe and welcomed here. In thy Son's name, amen." "Amen," Matt echoed. "Amen," I said, trying to recover from my shock. Every evening at Shema, I participated in my own sort of prayer, but nobody had ever prayed for me like that before. I glanced around the house while Matt and Christine began to eat. No wonder Barakiel had placed me here. This house was holy. The Tempter would find no entry. Matt lowered his fork and looked at me, concern in his light brown eyes. "Would you like something else, Jessica?" "Oh." I picked up my fork and scooped up the yellow grain. I worried I wouldn't feel the food or taste it, but the moment I put it in my mouth, my worries dissolved. I chewed it carefully, my taste buds delighting in the flavors. Apparently Earth food could be as extreme and intense as its emotions. "This is really good. I'll make it with shrimp next time, now that I know you like it," Matt smiled, and Christine beamed at him. "How was your day?" Christine asked him. "Busy. Football season is wrapping up, but they've got me hopping. Never a dull moment for the tech team." "Matt works at LSU," Christine said. "The local university?" I shoveled more food in my mouth. "And how was your day? You two accomplish everything you needed to?" Matt waved his fork between Christine and me. "I got Jessica registered for school, so she starts tomorrow at De La Salle." "Excellent." "And we went to Target and bought clothes and school supplies, so she's all set." "That's wonderful." Then we ran into Adeline, who asked very tactful questions about our financial situation and suggested we take out a good life insurance policy. Matt burst out laughing. He pressed his napkin to his mouth, shoulders shaking with mirth. I paused in my eating, examining the two of them. This made no sense. Adeline was hateful, wasn't she? She spoke with evil intent. Yes, she was quite malicious, Christine said, yet her eyes sparkled. But you don't seem distraught, I said. Oh, it's just Adeline. She's got issues. We feel sorry for her over here. Matt took Christine's hand. She got jilted and never got over it. I blinked, studying them. You're not angry. Forgiveness is a godly trait, and we strive to practice it, Matt said. So you forgave her? So easily? This defied all my understanding of humanity. Humans were vengeful and quick to anger and slow to forgive. The ones I'd interacted with fell into temptation easily and without any hesitation, almost as if they welcomed sin and darkness into their lives. Who do you think is happier right now, Jessica? Us or Adeline? Christine asked, taking another piece of bacon and breaking it on her plate. There was no question. You, of course. So why should we harbor any anger toward this woman who cannot harm us in any way? I shook my head. The logic fit, but I hadn't expected humans to be logical. Not everyone thinks as you do. No, Matt agreed. Not everyone does. I ate the rest of my meal in silence, wondering how different I would be if I'd been born into a family like this one. Chapter 15. Christine brought my purchases up to my room after dinner. Matt and I will be in the living room for the rest of the evening, she said, putting the red and white bags on the bed. You can come downstairs and spend time with us if you want. We'll probably watch a movie, or you can stay up here, that's fine. Just make sure to go to bed by 10 o'clock so you're able to wake up for school tomorrow. Okay, I said. She took a deep breath. Now, I hate to be a nag, but I do need to lay down some house rules. Do not leave the house without telling us. Do not open the windows, they're alarmed and no one can get through the bars anyway. Do not let anyone into the house. If you need to make a phone call, we have a landline and the phone's in the kitchen. If you're caught breaking the rules, Jessica, there will be consequences? I asked. Like what? We'll have to take privileges away. Until you break our trust, though, we give it to you freely. Why? I asked. You don't know me. What if the first thing I plan to do is sneak out and cause trouble? Well, we've had kids like that too, Christine said with a smile. But Matt and I believe in the goodness of children, and we want to give you all the chances in the world to make the right choices. Where are the other kids now? I asked. Soon graduated and moved on to their adult lives. Others went to live with different families. A few were able to go home to their birth families. We had room for you, though, and we're happy to have you. She opened my bags and pulled out the blue shirt and blue jeans. If you're not sure what to wear tomorrow, this is a safe bet. Or the beige skirt we bought. Thank you, I said. I'm sure I'll be able to find something suitable. Great. Christine stepped back, clasping her hands together. All right. Yes, the bathroom is just down the hall. It's all yours. We don't use that one. I put shampoo and conditioner and a blow dryer in there. There's also a razor, but if you abuse it, I'll take it away, and I will check you. She gave me a stern look and I nodded. I'd seen what souls in anguish could do with a razor, but I was not in anguish. We'll leave for the school around 7. Would you like me to wake you in the morning, or do you just want to meet me downstairs for breakfast? I stared at her, not at all sure what I wanted. I'll wake you at 6, she said, interpreting my blank look. Is that enough time? More than enough, thank you, I said. Good night. She backed away, closing the door behind her. I paused to examine the clothing we'd bought. I took out the shirts and hung them in the closet, then folded the jeans and put them in a drawer. She'd also bought me a pair of soft fleece pajamas. I ran my hands over the material. I couldn't feel the softness beneath my fingers, but I could imagine it. This is amazing, I whispered, swallowing. There was no doubt about it. I liked pretending to be mortal. I changed out of the clothes I'd worn to the Maddocks, donning the downy, fleece pajamas. A mirror hung from my closet and I stepped in front of it, admiring my reflection. Except for my thick, dark wings, I looked like a human girl. The soft bump behind me made me spin around, and there stood Molly, folding his wings in and stepping toward the bed. Hi, his eyes combed over me and he smiled. You look like a normal girl. I moved toward him and sat on my bed cross-legged, leaning forward. Why didn't you ever tell me how intricate your mortal life was? How many details went into each day? He shrugged, sitting down across from me. That's just how it was. It's not something I ever thought about. I like how it is now. I like being an angel. So many feelings, so many passions. Half of his mouth quirked into a smile. You've already encountered that? Christine will have 5 different feelings flowing through her at one time, and it mystifies me. No wonder humans feel so mixed up all the time. I feel like a simplified being, only feeling 1, maybe 2 emotions at a time. Right now, I feel like Eve in the garden, like my eyes have been opened. Trouble comes with those emotions, Jez, Malik said. Mortals don't know how to control their passions. They get aggressive. They kill. They lust. They covet. Their jealous natures destroy families, leave children parentless, lead countries into wars. I stayed silent, mulling over his words. But mortals come from the Father, I said. Wouldn't that make them inherently good? Sure, inherently good, but weak and subject to folly. Of course, without the Temptere, they would make it through mortality with fewer stumbling blocks. There was no doubt. Hasatan sent the Forsaken to Earth to avenge mankind for the wrongs and injustices done to us, or so I'd been taught. I now knew it had been spite and envy and malice that had us wreaking havoc upon humankind. That, and the insatiable appetite we developed for sin and depravity, and humankind was oh so willing to provide. Maybe humans aren't inherently good, I said. Maybe the capability for good and evil exists in each of us equally, and whichever part we feed is the part that grows. Maybe, Malik said, but humans can change also. They can stop feeding the bad and starve it, kill it off. Then they're left with only the good. How did it go with Logan today? To be honest, he said, I'm kind of at a loss. He responds well to me. I'm sure my light affects him, but I sense darkness in him, and it's growing no matter what I do. At some point, I'm afraid the darkness will overcome my light, and then we'll lose his soul. Do you think I can help? I asked. I hated to sound presumptuous. I wasn't here to be an assistant guardian after all. I don't know. Raphael is with him right now. I don't like to leave him alone, but Raphael says it's necessary. He needs to make decisions on his own. You'll meet him tomorrow. You can tell me what you think. I gestured around me. What do you think of my room? It's a room. Is it so much better than what you have at the academy? I wanted to stomp my foot. It's not a comparison. I've just never had this. I have a room in a house with 2 people who are like a mom and a dad. Malik tugged on one of my feathers. They're not your parents. Though I never had parents, so it feels like they are. Sympathy flashed in his eyes. I know, Jez. I just don't want you to get too attached. I won't, I said, but I already doubted my ability to not get attached. Malik stretched out across my bed, resting his head on my pillow. This is pretty comfy. I grinned and lay down facing him, our noses nearly touching. It's not bad. His eyes were only inches from mine, and I could study the brilliant gold in their brown depths. They might think you're human, you're gonna have to flush the toilet sometimes, take a shower. He raised an eyebrow. I considered that. New experiences, for sure. He sighed and closed his eyes, the warmth of his breath washing over me. He opened his eyes again and focused on me. Turn around, he said, his voice deeper than usual and slightly husky. I did as he asked. His fingers buried themselves into my feathers, right up to the tips of the shaft where they connected with my skin. I felt the heat of his body as he moved closer. You don't mind, do you, if I stay here? I shrugged, and the motion caused his hand to move. His fingers tugged at my feathers, a pleasant sensation that sent liquid warmth through my belly. It's not like angels need to sleep. No, but human girls do. I smiled to myself. Sure, I don't mind. I closed my eyes and let myself drift into a restful state, pretending I was a human girl and he was my human boy. See, it was still dark in my room when a knock came at the door right before Christine opened it. She spotted me on the bed and gave me a bright smile. Rise and shine for school, Jessica, were you planning a shower? Showering was something I had never done, and I had no clue how to do so, but I wanted her to think I was normal. Yeah, just a quick one. Of course, I put a few towels in the bathroom. Let me know if you have any trouble with the faucet. It can be a bit confusing the first time. She slipped out of the room and I rolled over in the bed. Malik was gone, having slipped out sometime while I rested. He was probably trying to make sure Logan didn't get into any temptation on the way to school. I gathered the clothes I had picked out for the day and went down the hall to the small bathroom. The standard shower had a frosted door and a small toilet and a pedestal sink with a mirror. The bathroom was decorated in mermaids and shells. I noticed the metal handle on the toilet and gave it a flush for good measure, then turned my attention to the shower. A round nub sat just below the faucet and I turned it. A spray shot out like a rainstorm and I stuck my fingers beneath the stream. The water was cool to the touch and strangely stimulating. I didn't need to shower, but it might be a good human experience. I stripped out of my clothes and was about to step into the little stall when I remembered the strange behavior of the water in the cup the day before. I paused, left foot hovering above the tile floor. It couldn't mean anything. But I couldn't deny it happened. Angels did not imagine things the way humans sometimes did. I pulled my foot back out, remembering Barakiel's warning about the water. I didn't see how it could harm me, these cool droplets pouring from the faucet. But I trusted Barakiel, and I wanted him to know I was heeding his counsel. So instead I let the water run for a few more minutes and then turned it off. I put on my school clothes, then stopped back by my room long enough to get my school supplies before going downstairs to the kitchen. I hope cold cereal is okay because Matt doesn't get up and cook for us in the morning, Christine said, a white bowl and a spoon on the table, followed by a carton of milk and several boxes of what must be cold cereal. It's fine. You're a fast shower. Did you wash your hair? My hand came up to touch the dark, silken strands. No. Should I have? Christine shook her head. No, you don't have to. I was just trying to figure out how you got your hair to dry so quickly. Heaven's throne, I'd done something wrong again? I tossed the hair over my shoulder and picked up one of the boxes of cereal. That one's my favorite. It's got freeze-dried strawberries and tiny bits of chocolate in it, Christine said. It's almost more of a dessert than a breakfast. That sounds good. I took the box and poured the cereal into the bowl. Christine did the same, and then she added milk to it. I waited for her to finish, then copied her actions. I hope you don't mind if I bless it, she said. That's fine, I didn't mind. The fact that I could be here, in this house, at the table while they prayed, said volumes about the state of my soul. I sat while she prayed, then began to eat when she did. When you're done eating, please take your bowl to the sink. We have a few more minutes, so I'm going to do the dishes. You can turn on the TV if you want, see if there's anything interesting. Okay. I approached the dark screen and studied it. It looked so innocent in its dormant stage, but I knew what evils this machine was capable of. And yet, Matt and Christine had one in their house. That meant the device was capable of good as well. But after 5 minutes of searching, I could not figure out how to turn it on. There were no visible buttons, and it did not respond to my hand the way my agenda did at school. So I abandoned it and sat on the couch, picking up a magazine from the little round table instead. National Geographic was written across the front in thick writing. Photographs of crowds of people in foreign places greeted me. I opened it up and flipped through, realizing I could spend an entire mortal lifetime traveling this planet and not see it all. And I wanted to see it all. Ready? Christine stepped into the sitting room, her eyes glancing over the material in my hands. Do you like to read? I put the magazine down and nodded. I find the acquisition of knowledge extremely enlightening. You know, she didn't quite hide the smile on her lips. Well, let's hope your day at De La Salle High is an enlightening experience for you. I expect it will be. I had great hopes for the day, anyway. I was silent as we drove through town, staring up at the ornate houses that lined the streets, a throwback to an earlier time in Earth history. I was sure I'd been here before as a shadow, but I didn't know when. I'd missed the beauty and creativity that surrounded me. We pulled up to the large brick structure, long enough to take up the entire block. I studied it now as I had not the day before. Decorative columns supported a walkway for pedestrians along a sidewalk leading to the front entrance, where a triangular facade declared the architecture a modern breakaway from the earlier trends. Would you like me to walk you in? Christine asked as she came to a stop out front. Humans milled about everywhere, laughing, talking, touching, holding hands, bumping shoulders, sitting on each other on benches, kissing. Oh, that's okay, I said, grabbing the backpack with my things. All right, then you go straight to the office where we were yesterday and ask for your schedule. They'll help you get where you need to be, okay? Yes, my hand was on the door, ready to jump out. You know how to find it? I'll find it. I pushed open the door and stepped onto the sidewalk. Chapter 16. Have a good day, Christine yelled after me. I waved over my shoulder. I stepped onto the sidewalk leading to the school, glancing around me curiously as I walked. The curious stares came right back at me. The students and I stared unabashedly at each other as I moved toward the entrance, and some of the kids leaned their heads together and whispered, "This was going to be interesting." I carried my backpack on one arm and pushed through the doors. The school was louder inside, voices echoing in the wide hallways lined with metal cabinets. I kept walking, and then I saw Malik in front of me, leaning against one of the walls and surrounded by kids. I recognized some of the teenagers from the window I'd opened in Arcadia. I halted when I saw him, because my heart squeezed in my chest, and all I could do was stare. The humans wouldn't be able to see it, but his light radiated off him, creating a small radius of godliness. Malik spotted me and pushed off the wall. He moved past them, through them without them noticing, and joined me in the hall. "How did you rest?" he asked, smoothing down one of my wings. Like him, my wings remained on the angel plane, and humans took no notice of them when they walked through them. "Good. I missed you when I woke." "You missed me? How sweet." His lips quirked into a grin, eyes sparkling, and I melted a little. It had to be his light making me feel this way. "I'm heading to the office to get my schedule. Any advice for today?" "Don't take anything to heart." He walked beside me, which was a little odd because no one could see him. Students eyed me and gave me space, but didn't do the same for him. "Also, you shouldn't talk to me in front of people. Teenagers can be brutal, and you don't want them finding a reason to be cruel." I almost laughed. "Do you think my feelings could be injured by human infants? Me, the daughter of Hasatan, wounded by the pettiness of mortals. You're not in Arcadia anymore. Just because you're not one of them doesn't mean you're going to remember that. Their feelings are contagious. It's part of the problem of being in empathia. I feel it, and I'm not interacting as one of them. If you're not careful, you'll forget that you're an angel." I considered his words. I felt the truth in them. But if I distance myself from those negative feelings, I'll deprive myself of the good ones too. The age-old paradigm. Without the darkness, there is no light. "I'll keep it in mind," I promised. "Jez, you have to stop talking to me." I looked around and realized I'd garnered an audience. More eyes watched me, lips curving into smirks, fingers pointing and hands covering giggles. "Don't say anything," Malik said. "Just keep going, we're almost to the office." I fell silent as instructed, though Malik kept talking. "I thought about your offer to help Logan. Barakiel said you might be able to, so I tweaked your schedule a little bit and put you in Logan's class." I put my hand on the office door and looked at him in surprise. "You can do that?" "Do what?" a girl with short blonde hair and a nose ring asked from the bench beside me. "Stop talking to me, Jez," Malik groaned. "You have to answer her now." Heaven's throne. My heart thumped extra hard and I looked back at her. How could I fix this? She held a notepad in her hand where she drew. I didn't know what it was, but that hardly mattered. "Draw like that." I indicated her paper with a twirl of my hand. "Yes." She looked at me hostilely. Why shouldn't I be able to? "Don't respond," Malik warned as my mouth opened. "Just shrug and go into the office." I followed his advice. We both stepped in, and I closed the door behind us. "This is harder than I expected, interacting with humans," I muttered. About 5 kids stood in line behind the desk, and the last one glanced my way. "You're definitely not good at it," Malik said. "My advice is to keep your mouth shut as much as possible. I can't be coaching you all day, and you should spend your time observing, learning as much as possible." "Where will you be?" I whispered as quietly as possible. "I've been asked to help minister to someone. Raphael keeps finding jobs to get me away from Logan. He thinks I'm influencing him too much. Go ahead and get in line." I stepped up behind the 5th student. The first one apparently had what she needed because she pushed off the desk and left the office. The line shuffled forward. "Keep your eyes forward and don't talk to me," Malik said. If you could just watch Logan for me, I won't be gone long. Maybe a day or two. You don't have to talk to him. In fact, it's better if you don't. But observe him. I feel like I'm missing something, or maybe he changes when I'm not around. Can you tell me what you see? A day or two, I arrived on Earth and he was leaving. Jazz, can you do that? I pressed my lips together, forcing them to remain silent. I nodded, and the line shuffled forward. Then I'm going to leave. He bent his head toward mine, his aura brushing my cheek. Good luck today, Jez. Call with light, I breathed, so only he could hear. He smiled at me and turned to go. The office door opened behind me, and a girl with long blonde hair and clothing tailored to fit her body came in behind me. I couldn't help it. I turned and stared at her. She reeked of pride and selfishness and arrogance. The smell rolled off her in waves that not too long ago would have sent my soul growling in anticipation. She was a walking target. I didn't see any temptare, but they were good at hiding, especially if an angel was nearby. Malik hesitated in his departure, looking from her to me. What else? She said, narrowing her eyes at me. Do not say anything, Malik warned. She's someone else's assignment. But her smell. Say nothing, Malik said, his voice commanding. I'll see you when I get back. My eyes flicked to him as he walked out the door, then I turned around and faced the front, pushing down the hunger it awoke in me. That was habit. It wasn't who I was now. I would much rather be in the shadow of Malik's light than feasting on darkness and depravity. Why did it sound like I was trying to convince myself? That's right, she said, her voice loud enough to draw the attention of the kid in front of me. Keep your eyes facing forward, weirdo. The boy in front of me shot me what was probably a sympathetic look before facing forward again. The girl leaned toward me, positioning her head right above my shoulder, and she sniffed. What's that I smell on you? She'd asked me a question. This was now a direct conversation, and I was curious what she meant. I swiveled slightly. You can smell me? Could she smell me like I smelled her? Her hand darted out and flipped the back of my shirt near the neckline. Her arm brushed my wings, sending a shiver through me. Yep, thought so, she said. She sneered at me. Her aura was dim, clustered close to her body, but it flared out with the unhealthy combination of gray and red. I leaned toward her, studying the colors. I'd felt a bit of her emotions when she touched my wing, and they weren't what I'd expected. You next, honey. The woman behind the desk beckoned me forward, and I turned away from the girl behind me. I stepped up to the desk. Yes, I need my schedule. First day here? Yeah. Name. Jessica. Wilburn. Heaven's throne, I needed to work on that. A machine whirred behind her, and then a piece of paper spit out of it. She spun around and grabbed it. Here you go. She pulled out a yellow pen and ran it across numbers at the top. This is your locker number and combination. Don't share it with anyone. Then she held it out to me. I took the paper and slipped from the office, studying it. I didn't know what a locker was. I'd worry about that later. For now, my first class, geography, was in the science wing in room 202. Now I just had to find the science wing in room 222. I stopped the first boy that marched past me, a big, hulking kid dressed in black with shaggy hair brushing his shoulders. I grabbed his arm and then pulled back when he paused and glowered down at me. Maybe I'd stopped the wrong person. You need something? I don't know where my class is. You must be new. You have your schedule? I handed it over. That's this way. I'll take you there. He turned around and went down the opposite side of the hall. This isn't where you were going, I said, quickening my pace to match his stride. It'll only take an extra minute. I'm Mason. You? Jessica. Nice to meet you, Jessica. Mason's deep voice echoed through the hallway, and students cleared out of the way for us. I stole a glance at him, trying to interpret his aura. I had thought this guy gruff and expected rudeness, but instead he was the kindest person I'd met so far. We turned left and climbed a flight of stairs before Mason stopped outside a door. He checked my schedule and handed it back. Here you go. Your next class, literature, is back on the other side of the office. You might have to run to get there. He grinned, and it transformed his face from glowering to friendly. Thank you, Mason, I said, accepting the paper from him. Your smile is nice. He gave me a somewhat startled look. Good luck today. Malik had said the same thing. I stepped through the classroom door, wondering how much luck would play into things. Come on in, a skinny, balding male teacher said from the front of the room. You must be Jessica. Yes. I glanced at the rows of tables with students clustered behind them, and a wave of startling emotions washed over me. My wings fluttered in apprehension. Those aren't my emotions. I'm Mr. King. Have a seat wherever you'd like. I went clear to the back where I could observe the humans. Boredom, anxiety, apprehension, and anticipation rolled toward me from the 20 or so students in the room. I needed to learn how to separate their feelings from my own. A bell rang, and Mr. King went to the board in front of the classroom. All right, class, let's turn to page 68 and go over yesterday's assignment. A few kids pulled out textbooks and others pulled out tablets. I didn't have either yet, so I pulled out a spiral-bound notebook Christine had bought me. My eyes landed on a boy just in front of me, with short brown hair, a green t-shirt, and dark jeans. Logan. I'd seen him with Malik both in the window and in the hallway this morning. His back was to me, and he didn't appear to have noticed me. He was so busy doing something on the small phone in his hands. I watched him through class. He didn't look up once. He didn't open a book or take out a tablet, and he didn't pay any attention to what Mr. King said. Malik wasn't guarding him against bad grades and a sloppy education, however. As important as those things were to the spiritual development, any gaps in his education could be learned at the academy. But first he had to get there. Malik was here because there was a darker influence in Logan's life. What was he doing on his phone? It could be something as innocent as a mildly addictive mind game, or something more sinister, like sexting other kids. I studied his aura, noting how the black flared out from time to time, darkening the other shades of orange and blue. And then a dark shadow settled into the seat beside him. I narrowed my eyes, just making out a humanoid figure. The figure leaned toward Logan, parts of its translucent form fading into Logan's arm and face. It drew back, separating from him, and Logan's aura spiked with gray. It was a Temptera. My heart rate picked up and I felt a shot of nervous energy. I'd never seen one from this perspective before. Temptare were incorporeal beings on Earth, nothing but shadow, but they had shape and form in Sheol. I had always been able to see them as clearly as I saw Logan now. I hadn't expected that to change. I had to tell Malik. This was on Logan. He needed to strengthen himself spiritually so that Temptare could not reach him. They could not come near light and goodness. It burned their dark souls. I knew. I stood from my place in the back and walked up 2 rows. Mr. King stopped talking and looked at me, as did Logan, as did the rest of the class. I paused by the chair next to Logan and looked back at Mr. King. The innate sense that I'd misstepped again filled me. Is it okay if I sit here? I asked the teacher, remembering to form a request. I tried to sound meek and unsure. Not that that was hard. At this moment, I felt meek and unsure. Yes, that's fine, but don't get up in the middle of class again. I nodded and slipped into the chair. The Temptare was gone. Whether it noted my presence or had already accomplished its task, I wasn't sure. But Logan looked at me with unabashed curiosity in his light blue eyes. Hello, I said, my gaze darting to his hand. He'd put the phone away. I wouldn't be able to see whatever it was he'd been doing, but the Temptare had left, so the absence of the phone had to be a good thing. Aye, he murmured, voice much quieter than mine had been. I followed his example, speaking softer this time. You're Logan? He blinked, and surprise flared off him like a flash of light. You know me? Heavens thrown, I'd done it again. No, I amended, scrambling to think of a suitable excuse. Mr. King suggested I sit by you when I came in. But you sat in the back. I nodded. Okay. I held my hand out. I'm Jessica. He hesitated before grasping my hand, and the sensation of ... nothing disappointed me once again. I guess you know who I am. What were you doing on your phone? He scooted his chair to the left, putting distance between us. Were you watching me? I blinked, wondering how he knew that, and then I realized my responses had clued him in, so I evaded the question. Want to sit with me at lunch? One thing I'd learned at the academy was the people who you ate with were the ones you bonded with. Where do you sit? He looked at me uncertainly. Aren't you new? Yes, today's my first day. And you already have people to sit with? No. But I'll sit at a table and you can sit with me. He furrowed his brow at me. Why? There were too many reasons to enumerate. I think it would be good for you. We could be friends. How old are you? That was an excellent question. I knew from Malik that Logan was 17, turning 18 in the spring. And Malik was perpetually 18 in Earth years, having died his senior year of high school. But I had no age. Logan's expression had changed from confusion to amusement. You can tell me. I nodded. We were in the same class, so I had to be close to his age. I'm 16. Tell you what, Jessica. His voice had changed to one of confidence with an oily feel to it that I didn't appreciate. My friends and I might have room at our table. I'll check with them and let you know tomorrow, okay? No, I said. I don't want to sit with your friends. I want to sit with you. He looked puzzled again. Wouldn't you like to make friends with the people that matter at this school? I flashed back to when Malik and I first discussed Logan, and I'd asked if he was special. To which Malik had responded, "They're all special." "You matter," I said. The bell rang, signifying the end of class, and Logan stood up. "I guess I'll see you tomorrow." I shouldered my bag and followed him out the door. "So no lunch today?" "Yeah, not today." He gave me another odd look and then took off down the hall.